Recently, I had the opportunity to interview and chat with small business owner and world cyclist Tom Davies of the Hungry Cyclist Lodge in Burgundy, France. I love talking about the food, wine, and touring this gorgeous and unforgettable region. Join us today as Tom shares his incredible journey that led him to become a B&B Lodge hospitality owner, creating tailor-made cycling holidays where you can enjoy good food, good wine in the heart of Burgundy.
Welcome to the Travel with Wendy channel.
I love connecting and interviewing small business owners around the globe. I like to share reviews and hit the trails hiking. Thanks for joining me today because
It's always an adventure when you travel with Wendy.
Hi, thanks so much for joining us here today on Talking Travel with Wendy. I am here with my new friend Tom, who is actually in
Burgundy, France, central eastern France. So yeah, right in the middle.
Yeah.
Can't get more central than Burgundy in France. There you go. But thank you for having me on your podcast and your vlog. It's fantastic to be here.
So Tom Davies is actually the Hungry Cyclist. That is the name of his chateau bed and breakfast. Do you want to define it?
Yeah, it's kind of the name of my alter ego, you know, and my bed and breakfast and a book I wrote. And yeah, it's just, you know, when I'm feeling like I need to be a superhero, I become the Hungry Cyclist.
Yeah.
And that happened, that started many years ago, and I've just kept the name. I like it. It's fun. I like cycling. I like eating, so it seems to work.
So tell me a little bit about that journey, the cycling journey, how it began and what'd you do?
My first big bike trip was from New York to Rio de Janeiro. It took 2.5 years, about 20,000 kilometers. And it really started with working a desk job in London in advertising, and really, cycled to work. Loved cycling, would cycle at weekends and stuff like that, and did a cycling trip from London to the south of France, and suddenly thought, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah.
You can just kind of self-propel yourself around the universe. So quit my job, flew to New York with my bike, and spent 2.5 years cycling to Brazil. And so I had something to do. I collected recipes. Along the way, I love eating, and anyone who's ridden a bike for a long time knows that you get very, very hungry. So it seemed like a good thing to keep me out of trouble. The whole way through the trip is how people travel with recipes, you know, and you know, cooking makes people feel at home. So
well, and I remember when Taco Bell first came to America, people were like, that is not real Mexican food.
No, that is, and that is still the case.
It hasn't changed.
It hasn't changed. No, I mean Mexican cuisine, Mexican home cuisine. You know, people often ask me. I've travelled a bit outside of the Americas as well. They're like, "What is your favorite cuisine?" And for me, the Mexican is up there as one of the greatest world cuisines.
Oh yeah.
I think it's up there with French, with Italian, with Thai, with Japanese, and it really is a bastion of world cuisine. But yeah, it was having the food element was lovely, especially when you got into Latin America, because you people are saying, well, what are you doing? And if you say I'm riding my bike from New York to Brazil, when you're in America, people just about get that. They think you're crazy, but they can go, oh yeah, there are crazy people. I get that. But when you get to El Salvador, and people are like, what are you doing? You go, I'm riding my bike from New York to Rio. That's just such a foreign concept. I mean, it just doesn't, they don't have the opportunity to do that in countries like El Salvador.
You probably got a lot of why. Why are you doing
I got a lot of why. I still get a lot of why. But by just simply being able to say, I'm collecting recipes, opened so many doors. And that was just, and this minute you say that, like, oh, well, we've got this, you know, there's a wedding this weekend, or it's my brother's birthday this weekend. We're roasting this pig and stuffing it with, you know, rice.
Yeah, you got to come. You got to taste.
Got to come. And I'm like, okay, well, hang around here for 4 days. Sounds fantastic.
Okay, so what led you to France?
What led me to France? So after writing the book about my trip around the Americas, I kind of thought, oh, I'm going to be a travel writer. This is going to be brilliant. And being a travel writer must be brilliant. Yeah, I thought I had these visions of like sitting in, you know, kind of exotic locations under a whirring ceiling fan with a typewriter, smoking cigarettes, and you know, that kind of thing. But that's not what it is. It's quite monastic, and you know, you're having to sell stories and get into places. So I figured out I didn't want to be a travel writer, and then really had a good think and thought, well, one thing I love is hospitality and cooking, and yeah, I'd always thought running a place for people who love food and cycling and wine would be really fun. So thought, well, I need to learn how to run cycling holidays. So I worked for an American cycling tour company for 3 years, and they set me up all over Europe, and I'd run cycling holidays all over Europe. And it was then that I discovered Burgundy. If you're into, French living and food and wine and just rolling countries, the food is very hearty. It's very traditional. It goes with the wine. The food matches the wine and the wine matches.
Last year, I had the opportunity to meet Felice and Peter Hardy of Action Packed Travel Podcast. After listening to their podcast with Tom, I knew I just had to meet him. They were sweet enough to introduce us and hop on our Zoom today. Here is our conversation. It's all about connection. So thank you so much, Felice Hardy, who has joined us today. Felice actually introduced me to Tom. So thank you very much, Felice.
Yeah, I have a podcast called Action Packed Travel. We've just done our 50th episode, and it's just about people who've had exciting adventures doing different things around the world, which is where Tom comes in. And Tom was actually introduced to us by another cyclist before that. So it sort of goes on. So here's Peter.
Hello, Peter.
Hi, Peter.
How are you?
How you doing? So glad you could join us today. I'm so happy that you're here.
How's it going?
Yeah, it's very good, very quiet because of obviously the global pandemic. But no, the weather's changing, which is wonderful, and spring is in the air, and out in the garden a lot, planting a few early things, pruning lots of things. Just been pruning the vines this afternoon, which was fun. So,
well, we do intend to come and see you at some point.
You will be incredibly welcome.
We have some friends who listen to the podcast episode,
Ooh,
and they
love
the idea of what you do, and they
fantastic.
When there's travel again, hope they'll get in touch.
Brilliant. I look forward to it. You must come. It'll be we'll have lots to talk about, lots of cycling. It'll be great fun.
Yeah.
And you as well, Wendy. You have to come.
Oh, I am so excited to bring a group, and I actually have. It's a huge cycling community where I live in North Alabama, and they like cycling and wine. So how perfect is that?
They must be crazy.
You can't go wrong with that.
You can't go wrong. And a bit of cheese.
Yeah. What are you working on right now for your podcast?
Last week, and we haven't used this yet because this is one we're gonna use in a couple of weeks' time. We had a woman who lives in the ski resort of Verbier in Switzerland.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And she is a wingsuit pilot. So
cool.
So base jumping basically. So I would say it's quite risky what they do.
Speed of 180 kilometers an hour. That's what's that?
Definitely saved. It's
120 miles an hour.
120 miles an hour. Yeah. Who designed that? It's like who ate the first artichoke? It's like who designed the first wingsuit? How did that kind of come out?
And then there was a conversation that this is a good idea.
Yeah. Just gonna jump off this cliff.
I think she put on skis at the age of 2 and then snowboarded. She's a sort of world champion snowboarder as well. Yeah. But we ought to let you two get on with your interview.
Thank you.
Well,
Cool.
Thank you so much for stopping by, and I look forward to catching up again.
And we hope we
speak to you very soon.
Meet again, but meet in person.
Yes.
In reality, yeah.
I am so ready.
Me too.
It'll be good. Yeah. Thanks, Peter. Thanks, Felice.
Bye.
Bye. It was nice of them to stop by.
That was brilliant. Nice one.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your place.
So after deciding that Burgundy was a place to set up cycling, food kind of accommodation, I started looking for property and found an abandoned watermill.
Okay.
In a village called Oxy-de-Retz, which is about 10 minutes from Beaune. And it's a winemaking village, and found this old building, and it was abandoned and needed a serious amount of work. But bought it, quit a flat in London for an old watermill in Burgundy. And I've spent the last 8 years doing it up, and now it's 5 ensuite double rooms, a cottage, got about 5,000 square meters of garden.
Oh, yay.
Swimming pool, got a little vineyard, vegetable patch, orchards, chickens. It's kind of it's my
sounds
idea.
lovely.
It's my idea of paradise. It's lovely. It's just a wonderful base where you can sleep well, have a nice breakfast, go biking all day, taste some of the best wine.
And you organize that. You organize
we organize that. Yeah, we do. We organize the bicycle hire. We have an app where we can, if you want to be just go off by yourself using an app called Ride with GPS. We have you can customize your own app with them, and that just allows people, they download it over breakfast. I give them some routes, and then they come back in time for dinner. And it's fantastic.
And you also organize wine tastings?
We do, yeah. Well, I mean, I know lots of, Burgundy is a very small area, really. And so having lived here for 8 years, I know a lot of the wine makers. And yeah, we can organize kind of wine tastings to suit every level. You know, it's say kind of winemaking, it's a bit like kind of jazz, you know, you can, it's kind of, you kind of want to, you don't want to go in with the kind of weird, wacky alternative jazz. You want to start, you know, if you've never been to Burgundy before, you kind of don't want to go right in at the top. You want to work your way through, and you know that's the beauty of it. You're always learning, you're always picking stuff up, and I kind of think that part of our job is to introduce people to the wine, so it's something they can continue to enjoy, not just while they're here, but take something home with them.
Oh, absolutely.
Next time they're in a restaurant back in wherever they are in the world, go, oh yeah, okay, I remember that village. I remember Tom talking about, you know, the terroir and the minerality of that wine. And I want people to take away a bit of the kind of culture that we have. From us, we're really well situated in, you know, the centre of Burgundy and the centre of the Burgundy wine region. As I mentioned, we're 10 minutes from Beaune, but, you know, you can also be a half an hour train ride to Dijon, which is the capital of Burgundy, with great, you know, museums, great markets, great Michelin-starred restaurants. And, you know, some people, if they're brave enough, they cycle there for the day, and you can then just take the train back to Meursault, which is a nice way if you have a good lunch. Or you can, you know, you can just take the train and walk around. It's a lovely city. The old centre is great to access on foot. Santiago de Compostela starting point. It's a very kind of religious and part of the monastic dynasty that was here after the Romans.
Okay, did you think of the one thing that isn't Googleable if they Google Tom Davies?
So I sing in a rock band.
That's cool.
Sing in a rock band in the village. There you go. Rock and roll. And because the village we live in is called Oxy Duress.
Okay.
Our lead guitarist is from Philadelphia. Our bassist is from Boston. Our drummer is English, and our pianist is from North Carolina.
Okay.
Because we all live in this little village of 300 people, we're all.
And you have 3 Americans and
2 English. It's really weird. And because our village is called Oxy Duress, we've called ourselves the Oxymorons.
Oh, I love it.
There you go. And we write a few songs and we play really bad covers, middle-aged rock and roll. But we have a great time, and we make wine, so we drink a lot.
Yeah,
it's very rock and roll.
Yeah. Because of COVID, are you taking reservations now? And
yeah, we're taking reservations. It's just hard to know what guests are going to be able to commit to. We are dying to see people here, to be honest. It's been a slow time, but you know, it's hard for everyone. But you know, we're taking reservations, and you know, if people turn up, we'll show them a good time, and if they cancel, we'll wait to see them another time. So, but we do table d'hôte here, so I love to cook, which is strange for an Englishman, but we have our vegetable patch and our orchards and our chickens, and I try and cook dinner here 3 times a week for guests, and we serve the wine that we make. We serve my parents-in-law's wine and wines that, you know, I like and that friends of mine make. And yeah, we cook. Yeah, we do dinner here 3 times a week, and you know that's so. It doesn't matter that the restaurants are closed. We can look after you.
people are going to want to do that.
So really, you know, if you're, we are more than welcome to host. We're more than ready to host you here, and it would be lovely. I mean, one of the benefits of this job, having travelled a lot, is that now people come here from all over the world, and you just get to sit around a table with a glass of wine and talk to people, and you kind of get to travel without going anywhere. Although I love to travel as well, still. So yeah, really, you know, if you're listening to this and what we do sounds interesting and fun, please have a look at the website, drop us an email, and we'll see what we can work out. We've got bookings for 2023 coming up, and people from America. Yeah, you can really feel that people want to travel again, and people want to just
So ready.
Yeah, it's so ready, and I get it. And yeah, I think the people here are ready to host again. You know, it's if you work in tourism, it's not an easy time, and people forget it's not just about paying the bills. It's if you work in hospitality, you do it because you like working with people, hopefully.
Right.
And yeah, if you don't have that human contact of sharing where you live and what you do and kind of performing, whether it's cooking or serving wine or telling about the history or the winemaking, if you're not doing that,
I'd much rather be doing this in person.
Oh God, yeah, so would I. Yeah, we will.
We will.
We will, definitely. No, I look forward to it.
Well, Tom, thank you so much for joining me here today on Talking Travel
Wendy.
with Wendy and being my guest. I so enjoyed it, and I look forward to doing the next one in person.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for having me, and best wishes to all your listeners.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hi, thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I have much more content on my website, travelwithwendy.net, and you can also support this channel by becoming a Patreon patron. The links are below. Remember, it's always an adventure when you travel with Wendy.